Hello! I know it's been some time away from this, but I was pretty sick at the time, so we're going to try and catch up some real album reviewing done here. This is, of course, my fourth review and final of the 4 albums, 4 reviews, 2 blogs in 2 days. So, this is, of course, the new Muse album. Get out of here. Nobody likes you. Nobody likes you, Second Law. You almost ruined Muse for me. No. Bad. Anyway, this is the new Muse album. It's called Drones. If you can get a good look at that, there's a good angle. It's, of course, a little on the nose with the imagery there. Hand holding a stick, holding a person, holding a hand, holding a stick, holding it, and so on. Big up governments control the low up governments control the people. Yeah, you'll see how on the nose it is later. But that's okay. We'll move on. Let's jump into some history of Muse. The band, of course, from England, and formed in 1994. They're from Teignmouth, Devon. If you didn't know they're from England, I'd have to question your ability to know this band at all, but that's okay. Matthew Bellamy, lead guitar, vocals, piano, guitar, everything. Christopher Wolfenholm is an amazing bassist and backup vocalist, and Dominic Howard on percussion, drums, every kind of percussion, synthesizers. They're of course known for their huge live performances, but let's talk about the early days. The members of Muse actually played in separate school bands during the Tottenham House Community College days in the early 90s, but the formation began when Bellamy auditioned for Dominic Howard's band, Carnage Mayhem. They asked Chris Wolfenholm to actually learn the bass guitar, because he didn't actually do that. He played drums at the time, so they had to have him audition and learn to play bass. From there, they went on to name themselves Gothic Plague, changed to Fixed Penalty, and then to Rocket Baby Dolls. After an audition for Battle of the Bands, they won the contest and decided they had to start taking themselves seriously, changing their name to Muse. Huh. It's just one of those crazy things. After building a fan base for a few years, Muse started playing gigs around Manchester supporting Skunk and Eyes on tour. The band had a significant meeting with Dennis Smith, the owner of Sawmill Studio, and started to work on a converted mill in Cornwall. From there they recorded Muse, their first EP, and signed on to Dangerous label. From the as well they made, as Muscle Museum was around 99, Muse was 98. From there they went on to start going through in the process, signing with a couple of people in 99. They emerging studio stage at Woodstock, and they signed on with Smith and Joffrey to record Showbiz, Origin, and Absolution with Taste Media. Despite the success of the second album, people actually weren't sure whether they were going to sign them or not. It wasn't until Showbiz showed off their style and musical ability that they were actually allowed to continue, making music. So from there, despite that, they went on to make Origin of Symmetry, where they experimented with organs, mellotrons, animal bones, that high-pitched vocals you're used to hearing from Matt, and guitar, just off-the-chain guitar from Hendrix style to Tom Morello and everything. It was crazy. Feeling Good was a good help with success on the album, as well as Plug and Baby was huge. They went on from that to make a lot of things happen. They actually had a legal issue with Celine Dion, who tried to use their name Muse and tried to offer them $50,000 to sell the name. They didn't want people to think that they were the backing band for Celine Dion, so they decided not. From there, they went on to make Hullabaloo, which is a live album, B-sides thing, which is amazing from a tour. I love that one so much. And Absolution came next. Absolution was a 2003 album, and it was huge. It was the first top 10 hit with Time Is Running Out, and then Hysteria, Sing for Absolution, Butterflies and Hurricanes. This is my favorite album to this day. Huge album. They went on to support the album on a tour, Australia, New Zealand, United States, Canada, France, just everywhere. The U.S. leg in 2004 began as Bellamy injured himself on stage in Atlanta. They received several stitches and continued. From there we go a lot. I mean, they put out Black Holes and Revelations in 2006 to go on in 2009 we get The Resistance, and in 2000 we gotta do it. After The Resistance and the cool tour they did with that, they went on to be inspired by, of all things, a Skrillex show. I mean, look at this freaking artwork. Let's just get this. Get an image? You can see it a little bit better here. It's like somebody dropped a shit ton of glow sticks and they caught a photo of it midway down to the rave. I mean, oh my god, Muse. This album was the album that almost did me in. That was the... I almost couldn't do it anymore. It was so bad. They put it out in 2011, I guess, but I don't know. I guess it was 2012. I don't even pay attention. I hadn't listened to them again until this year. It took me forever to get over this. This was a huge sin to me. I don't know. They've been my favorite band, one of my favorites since I can remember. They had killer album after album. The Resistance came along and I was a little bit mixed, but I learned to love it because it's still a great album. And then the second law came and they just went too far. That was the moment I stopped listening to Muse completely. I mean completely. I didn't even pay attention when they announced this album. But now that it's here, I'm willing to give it a chance. So let's dive in. The first track on the album is, of course, Dead Inside. No. Bad Second Law. We don't do that. Dead Inside, the lead single of the album, starts with an, huge jam and some screaming loud vocal that just pops out. Dead Inside, one of those huge emotional things that Muse does so well. Punch. The bass jams, the drums fire, guitar riffs are huge, and Matt sounds great on vocals and falsetto. This is a classic return to form from my book, to Muse. The only real problem here is the cheesy lyrics, and that problem gets worse as we continue, but the song really brings it in the instrumental area, in the vocals. I think it's a true highlight. From there we get Drill Sergeant, which is the angry, yelly, anti-military speech from our friend from Full Metal Jacket being used on vocals there as a sample, and that's the intro to Psycho. It starts off with a guitar riff, worked on the album, and the cliche again, R.L. Emery from Full Metal Jacket comes in to do his little bits in the middle. But that can be overlooked here just because of how awesome the instrumentation really is on this. I mean, the lyrics are still cheesy, but the guitar shines over it. It really does. It makes this pretty damn fun. It adds some really fun blues riffs in that rock. This is a straight-up highlight. We get to Mercy. This track aims to be what Starlight and Time Is Running Out were, but it falls far short. It's not a bad song, and in fact, even though those other two songs are great, and I appreciate the music here, it takes the front seat, of course, but the lyrics are so vague. I don't know. What is it that makes Starlight and Time Is Running Out so much better is that they're vague and they don't come across as just pushing politics and stupidity down someone's throat. They're vaguely romantic and interesting, and people fall for them. This is just sad, and when you really listen to the words, kind of pathetic. It's like reading the title of political articles and then putting those together to make sentences in lyrics. It's just bad. Bad government. Stop it. Don't do that. Bad. I get it. You don't like government. If you can look past the U2 over-the-toppy politics of this bland lyrics, it's not that bad. Musically, it's actually old-school wheelhouse for a piano rocking ballad. Next one's called Reapers, and honestly, pay attention because this is where things get fun. Reapers is the start of probably the best guitar work I've heard since Knights of Sidonia, and I really mean it. He just kills it here. The track shreds in a way I haven't heard ever from him. It sounds like Jeff Beck truly having something to prove on this, and I love that. It's a live staple for sure in the future, I'm sure, and a hidden gem years from now. Absolute highlight, my favorite track on the album. Next we get to The Handler, which is another standard Muse affair in the best way possible. The guitars are huge on this track. The bass line's pounding, the drums come along in just a huge way. Falsetto's in its supermassive black hole form stride. There's not a lot bad you can say about this track. This song just is really good. It's an old school rocking Muse track. The next one is JFK, and it's just a speech from JFK with some background music thrown over it in a political interlude kind of way. Not needed, but doesn't take away too much. The next one's called Defector. It's similar to Dead Inside, but not as good. The lyrics are pretty watered down political banter. I don't know. I'm not brainwashing. You can't make me do anything, pretty much. Real deep Keanu meme insert. I don't know. Some of it is like Dead Inside. It's just not as heavy, and it doesn't have as many riffs. It's still a decent song without a lot of problems. It's just cheesy and vague. Good guitar solo kind of keeps it in. Next one's called Revolt. And, oh goodness. Oh. This song about killed the album for me. It really did. This is the song that, if the music were to match the cheesiness of the lyrics, this is what you would get. It's one of the worst things I've ever heard from them. It's just terrible. Second Law's still worse, but this is just so bad. It's shit. It really is. It kills the flow of the album, and it just killed my good vibes. It really did. It doesn't kill the album, but man, it's hard to get back into it after this. It's a straightforward, cheesy pop song. Here are the lyrics. You can revolt. You can escape. You can revolt. You can escape. Those are the actual lyrics to this. It's bad. Yeah, you can motivate to escape, but with these lyrics, the motivation just isn't there. If this song weren't here, the album would be a lot better off for it, but unfortunately it is. So let's move on. Aftermath is the next track on here, and this is a truly beautiful ballad. I think this is what they wanted Mercy to be. It's one of those me against the world romantic songs that Muse does so well, but the topic works here. It really does. It's better than cheesy politics for Muse. It really is. The beautiful guitar solos and huge choruses that make them interesting are here. This is, in my opinion, an album highlight. Then we get to The Globalist, which is like, I guess, the meat and potatoes of this album. I don't know. It's a 10-minute long political prog rock song. It really breaks down into 3 songs, truly. The first is a slow, beautiful build-up with a whistling, a falsetto ballad kind of thing going on. The next is a very heavy and angry guitar rock-driven section with some seriously blasting riffs. And the final is a piano-driven section that has some serious piano skills being showed off by Matt. The song has a lot going for it, and I guess a lot of it works. In some places it doesn't, but I think this would have been better as 2 songs or 3 songs than it does as 1. Just because you put 2 good songs together does not always make 1 really good long song. That's not how it works. Sometimes it just makes it longer. Here it just seems to drag on instead of inspiring you to listen to new segments. It would have been better as separate tracks. The final one on the album is called Drones, and the album ends with an a cappella choir style end. And it's kind of weird for them because they don't use this at all in the rest of the album, but it really, I guess it works. It just seems out of place considering they never tease this, but it works for what it is. In truth, I think this is a major return to form. The rock and guitar, bass and drums and solo falsetto stuff, it's all back on point. Can't argue with that. I like the Resistance, but after a while it had time to grow on me. I liked it, but it's not the Muse I wanted. I wanted the Absolution, Black Hole's origin Muse, and this brings things back to rock in a huge way. But it also brings something else, unfortunately, and that's the cheesy lyrics that I can't remember being there on some of those earlier albums. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but I never noticed. These lyrics are political in the way that reading the titles to books from the politics section are political. They have strong opinions, but they're so vague about it and watered down it's just painfully cheesy to listen to. At the worst, I guess, but it doesn't stop making the album good. In fact, it's a really good album, but it could have been great. Without the watered down lyrics, overall, this and that stupid song, Revolt, we could have definitely had a much better album here. I think it would have been a great, amazing album, in truth. Overall, it's still got amazing vocal talent, awesome instrumentals, and some huge choruses that overweigh the bad lyrics in the one bad song. I'd still check it out. It's a return to form. Dead Inside, I would recommend. Psycho, definitely check out Reapers, and Aftermath. I still say 4 out of 5 stars. There's a lot of problems, but man is that rock and guitar there. Man is the bass pop, man are the drums there, and the vocals, so good. 4 out of 5.